story about one of my first lessons that I got in the real world. I remember I was a little girl, probably in pigtails, sitting in front of my TV, clutching my cuddly little stuffed animals and watching my favorite channel, the Discovery Channel. I remember I watched those cuddly little lion cubs playing with each other and fighting each other's fat, cuddly little ears and rolling around in the grass, and I watched as they played jump rope with the swishing tails of their proud, protective mommy and daddy lions. And as I was watching, delighted at how adorable the natural world was, I remember a voiceover started to speak. As the youngsters play happily, a newcomer adult male lion watches from afar. If he succeeds at taking over the pride, he will need to ensure that the lionesses put all of their energy into his future offspring, so he will likely ravenously murder these cute, cuddly babies and eat them as a noonday snack. At least that's how I remember it. Welcome, little girl, to the real world, where resources are tight, even for cute, cuddly things. And all the time, energy, food, and love we can muster goes to our own. Others must fend for themselves or be destroyed. Now in the human world, of course, we don't go around actively killing children that we're not related to so that they aren't sucking up resources for our own children. But we do compete for resources. And we do pick and choose what people and institutions we can afford to take care of. As a trivial example, you can think of those who you are buying gifts for this year. You obviously don't have the time or the money to buy gifts for everyone in the entire world. So you pick and choose which people you are willing to spend your time and your money on. And for many of us, most of the people on our gift lists are family members, kids and grandkids, nieces, nephews, parents, partners. So, kind of like lions, we take care of our own. We take care of the people that we're related to. Scientific studies have actually shown that our species is not all that unlike those lions. Have you ever noticed that newborn babies tend to resemble their fathers? You've seen that? And then, evidently, as kids get older, thankfully for some of us, those daddy characteristics kind of fall away. But scientists believe that we tend to resemble our fathers when we're first born because, like the lion dads, a human father is more likely to take care of a baby that he knows is his own. So he's more likely to want to put his time and his resources into keeping alive a baby that carries his own obviously very awesome genes. But it's not just how dads treat babies. Studies have also shown that people are far more trusting and generous in societies where everyone is the same ethnicity, where everyone looks more or less like one another. But when you start throwing in things like immigration and diversity and multiculturalism, studies have shown that people are actually less trusting of each other, and they are less likely to support things like welfare and social safety nets. So this natural inclination we have to care for people who could be biologically related to us extends all the way from nuclear families to our public policies. We naturally care for our own. And that is why one of the miracles of the Christmas story is the miracle of the household of Joseph. The story of a man who resists that natural impulse and chooses to take care of someone who is not his own. When we meet Joseph in Matthew's Gospel, he's a young man on the cusp of adulthood. He's ready to marry a respectable young woman and start a respectable young family. We can only imagine his dreams up to this point in the story. They were presumably the kinds of dreams that young people dream. Like young George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. Joseph probably dreamed of all the adventures he'd have as an adult. And his dreams probably contained his future wife in all her beauty and perfection and respectability, and the awesome kids they were going to have, the sons, oh, the sons he would raise, the devout, temple-going, hard-working carpenters he would raise, and the beautiful wives they would take, and the children they would have, and the prosperous and peaceful life of the household and children of Joseph. Now, unfortunately, in the middle of his peaceful dreaming, like a splash of cold water, like foul-smelling salts, Joseph awoke to the news that chaste, young Mary was pregnant with the child of somebody else. And the dreams he had of his perfect, respectable household of Joseph vanished. When we meet Joseph again, he is, of course, dreaming. His sleep is perhaps less peaceful than before. And instead of the heroic, adventurous dreams of a young man, he dreams a dream of one who is called to face the messy life decisions of an adult. He dreams of the angel of the Lord, who tells him that he is to marry this disgraced woman, that he is to endure the rumors and the shame without fear, that he is to unnaturally put his time and energy and resources and reputation, his life and his dreams into a child that is not his own, a child that will not look like him or take after his idiosyncrasies, a child that will not live into his great dreams. So against every natural inclination, when Mary gave birth to someone else's baby, Joseph held that strange child in his arms, named him Jesus, and risked everything to protect him and to love him. I don't know if you've ever read the first 17 chapters of Matthew, or the first 17 verses of Matthew that come right before this story. Probably not, because it's one of those genealogies, 17 verses of a lector's worst nightmare. Aram was the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon the father of Solomon, on and on, scores and scores of fathers and sons, all to show that Jesus descended rightfully from the great line of Abraham and King David, and thus can be the promised Messiah. But you know who were the last fathers listed in those 17 verses? Eliezer, the father of Matthan, Matthan, the father of Jacob, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Messiah. So all of these 17 verses proving the legitimacy of Jesus as the Messiah all hang on Jesus being the son of Joseph. But Matthew himself tells us that Joseph was not the natural father of Jesus. And that is the key to the story. Joseph was not the natural father of Jesus. Joseph was the unnatural father of Jesus. Joseph acted against his nature to love Jesus, to put his time and energy and resources and reputation and his life and his dreams into this person who was not his own. And it was that unnatural relationship that made Jesus and Joseph into family. It was that unnatural relationship that made Jesus heir to the line of David and Abraham that made Jesus the Messiah. You see, in the story of God, again, we are dealing with the supernatural. We are dealing with events that are a bit unnatural, with wolves laying down with lambs, and with love instead of nature making a family. The miracle of the household of Joseph is the miracle of a person who comes to love and care for someone he is not naturally inclined to love and care for. And not incidentally, the miracle of the household of God is the miracle of people who come to love and care for those we are not naturally inclined to love and care for. The household of Joseph is a microcosm for the household of God. Joseph's decision to be a part of this unnatural family is not unlike the decision to become a part of this unnatural family that we call the church, as Giovanna will later do this morning. You know, science tells us that when diverse people come together into a church or a denomination, the natural thing for us to do is to stop trusting one another and to stop helping one another. But we are a people proud to call Joseph our spiritual ancestor. We are a people who began with a holy family bonded not by nature, but by unnatural love and care. We are a people who come into this household with our many different dreams. And when we come together, we have disagreements about our many different dreams. But when we are at our best, we are not fighting over who has the best dream. Instead, we are figuring out together what God's dream is for our cobbled together household. And we put our time and energy and resources and reputations and our lives and our dreams into caring for people who are not our own. We even send our precious resources halfway across the world to strangers we will never, ever meet. And that, and nothing less, is the household of God, of which we are a part, which Giovanna will join today. It is the household of a Messiah, unnaturally adopted and grafted into true and holy family. Thanks be to God. Amen.